Space-time itself may emerge from entangled quantum bits. I actually think they are wrong about quantum bits, but I do think it is emergent. And I will tell you why and what it has to do with your consciousness and all of our consciousnesses. Because for some fucking reason, science just can't talk about consciousness, so they have to talk about entangled quantum bits, which are theoretical. So I'm gonna introduce my theory, which makes much more fucking sense. Okay, so I talk about something in my 700-page metaphysical book about plasma and consciousness called Plasma Consciousness Synergy. There are individual levels of this, and there are also cosmic levels of this. Basically, I discuss that our space-time may be understood as an emergent result of plasma consciousness synergy at a collective level. Basically, our conscious collective, our collective unconscious, as Carl Jung would say, because most of us are in survival consciousness, which is really unconscious because our subconscious is running the show based on our past limiting beliefs. So basically, we do what we're told. We do what we think to do. Think what we think to do. Most of you don't watching this probably though. You guys are probably rebels. But we all get in survival consciousness. And my point is, when you think you learn the laws of reality, how reality works, you live that way, not realizing that reality is malleable. When you realize reality is malleable, you realize that you can recreate beliefs, and you've seen them in individuals' lives. You maybe think, oh, how do they make that much money? How do they live that joyfully and magically? It's because they're using plasma consciousness synergy on an individual level. Maybe they don't call it that, but they are. But newsflash, if we all change our consciousness at a high level, with all of us doing this, it can impact space-time and change the laws of reality. Because if we change our beliefs and laws individually, it's just like complexity theory, where all of a sudden this plasma that makes up outer space, that makes up this finer plasma that makes up our reality, will begin to self-organize and become intelligent. And that is what is starting to happen. And that is why we can use this plasma with our consciousness to mold and co-create the reality we want, which also happens with other beings, which I get into in my book. It's too much here. It sounds psychotic, I know, but it's not. You're basically just creating reality with your higher self, which is why it's a co-creation, or you're creating with God, either way, whatever you want to call it. Also, I talk about how each curve in space-time is actually a reflection of meaning, not matter or motion. So basically, we create meaning of everything. Everything outside of us is neutral, without meaning. We imbue the meaning. Our consciousness fills in the meaning to this plasma. Us changing our stories and meanings changes space-time. That is why people in the future write sci-fi stuff about how reality is moldable. Just like lucid dreaming, you can mold this plasma at finer levels in our dreams. That's proof that it's possible. So space-time is emergent because of plasma consciousness synergy, not quantum bits. That's boring. Comment plasma if you want to learn more. It's quintessence.